So you're thinking about buying an airplane and you're not sure where to begin. Well, stay tuned. Hopefully I'll answer all your questions. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things aviation. If you don't know me, my name's Dave and I've been a pilot for nearly 30 years. I was a former naval aviator for 20 years and now I fly a big, heavy, multi-engine airplane all over the world. So if you found this channel, chances are pretty good you're interested in purchasing an airplane. And it's a pretty daunting task. I'm not going to profess to know everything. In fact, I've only ever bought one airplane. As I mentioned in the intro, I've been a pilot for going on 30 years professionally, but never actually owned an airplane in the GA world. So with that in mind, let's begin and talk about some of the things you need to consider when you're buying an airplane. The first of which is, what's your mission? What are you going to use the airplane for? And chances are pretty good if you're here now, you've at least thought of what you want an airplane for. And there are a number of missions out there, and each airplane is suited differently for a specific mission. Primary mission usually for airplane owners is a cross-country airplane, something that will get you from point A to point B faster than driving on some of these dangerous interstates out there. But that may not be the case. You may be looking at backcountry STOL type aircraft that, you know, have the big wheels and can fly you into a riverbank or at a great hiking, camping, fishing spot. There are also planes specifically geared toward training. Like if you are first starting out and you want to get your private pilot's license or maybe start working toward your instrument or commercial rating, there are planes that are geared more toward training. And those planes work great as cross-country airplanes too, but they're just very forgivable and tend to be a little bit slower. Not necessarily that that's a bad thing. As a brand new pilot, faster is not necessarily better. You can get into an airplane that's operating faster than your experience level dictates. There are people who just want to be the kind of the weekend flyers who want to load one of their kids or their wife up in an airplane and fly 100 miles away and get what we call a $100 hamburger, which obviously the burger's not $100, but when you factor in the cost of the airplane and the fuel to get there, then yeah, it does tend to add up to $100, but it's a lot of fun, especially if the weather's nice and you can do some sightseeing or maybe looking at the fall foliage or, you know, flowers blooming in the spring, whatever the case may be. There are certain variants of fun airplanes as well. Is it aerobatic? A friend of mine owns a fully aerobatic airplane. We were in the Navy together and he likes to get out and just pull G's and do loops and have all sorts of fun in his airplane with the occasional $100 burger weekends as well. The light sport airplanes, which you don't even need a pilot license to fly. Really, it's just your driver's license. They're very lightweight airplanes, maybe a step between ultralight and a basic trainer airplane. There are amphibious airplanes, float planes, different variants for kind of whatever suits your need. You know, if you live in the Puget Sound or down in the Florida Keys, maybe an amphibious airplane is more suited for you to just get out and have fun and ride the wave tops and, you know, jaunt over to another island and have a picnic. There are also some planes that kind of are more suited for work, like if you're going to be towing a banner along a beach or, you know, flying for a parachute jumping outfit. There are a number of airplanes. But the point is that all these airplanes there's trade-offs. Like if you want a really fast airplane, it's not going to be a good training airplane. If you want a bush airplane, you really can't have an airplane that has 100 knot takeoff speed or 80 knot landing speed because you're going into backcountry places you really need to get into with a very short takeoff and landing distance. So you really have to define your mission and what you're going to use the airplane for. Otherwise, the market is wide open and you will be easily overwhelmed with what's out there and what's available. So the next step is you got to do your research. Research. But I'm going to propose doing it slightly differently. I'm going to recommend getting on YouTube just like you're doing right now and get on and watch some of the other YouTubers who are actually in the general aviation airspace. Guys like Nico's Wings is one of the first ones I started watching. Mojo Grip Mike, 310 Pilot. There are a number of ones out there. Trent Palmer, if you're interested in bush type flying, has great videos with great video editing. So free plug for all you guys out there, but definitely recommend watching their videos just so you can get a sense of general aviation flying if you haven't done it a lot, or maybe you're just a brand new pilot and what's available to you once you start having your own airplane and you're able to just get out there and enjoy it and travel. Now, the reason I recommended YouTube first and not just going to some of these either research sites or places where used planes are being sold is the elephant in the room is the sticker shock is going to be pretty big. I'm going to talk about aircraft pricing in one of the follow-on episodes here, but just needless to say, when you get on there and start actually looking at physical airplanes for sale in and around, say, North America here, the price is daunting on some of these airplanes. And I started my search just prior to right when the pandemic started kicking in, thinking that the prices would plummet, and they did the exact opposite of that. They've skyrocketed since the pandemic started. A lot of people buying airplanes, wanting to, for various reasons, tired of dealing with the lines and the rude passengers and the TSA and having to take your shoes off and dealing with all that hullabaloo just to fly, say, 300 miles away, where it's almost less painful to drive than it is to actually fly. So with that in mind and with that armed, start looking at airplanes without necessarily, and it's going to be hard to do, looking at the price tag. But you're going to have to start coming to some realistic conclusions pretty quickly. Like if you want a nice cabin class 8-seater that does 325 knots, you're not going to find it with a budget of $125,000. So you cannot divorce the economics of this process from the actual plane search process. So there are a number of websites you can go to in order to facilitate your research. One of them is planephd.com. When you go there, it asks for certain information and it sort of kind of defaults to a kind of cross-country mission. So just take it with a grain of salt, but it will give you an idea kind of what you're looking for and what you're not. Specifically, if you're looking for something with 2 seats or 4 seats or even 6 seats, it'll kind of whittle them down. It's limited. It doesn't show everything. And if you tweak one of the numbers up in the header and hit refresh, it's going to show you a whole different laundry list of airplanes out there. The next 2 to 3 biggies are usually controller.com, tradeaplane.com, and barnstormers.com. Those 3 places, they have different formats, but they have airplanes that are for sale. They're on the used market typically, but they will let you kind of whittle down your search and kind of narrow it down to very specific airplanes. But as you're starting out, you may not know exactly what you want. You know, you may know that you want 4 seats and fixed gear and a normally aspirated engine instead of a turbocharged engine or something like that. And you can sort of whittle it down in your search for that particular airplane. Now you're going to get Bonanzas and Pipers and Cessnas and a whole gamut of things ranging from 1952 all the way up to 2022. And the price range is going to be pretty significant or big in that whole search, but they will at least get you started looking at it. There's a lot more ins and outs that are associated that go into what you need to look for in these airplanes, which I'll get into in a follow-on video here. For now, it's a good place to start just looking at airplanes. So there you have it. There's a beginning step of your search for hopefully your dream airplane. I know when I get on YouTube and I'm surfing through whatever YouTube suggests for me to watch, I usually look at how long the videos are. And if it's longer than 10 or 12 minutes, I'm pretty much going to skip it unless I have a lot of time to dedicate. So I'm going to end today's episode with that. But if you have any questions, please put them down here, or suggestions or things you learned along the way. Please, let's make this kind of an interactive process here. And then we can get this information out for more people who actually are in the process of looking at airplanes and hopefully getting into general aviation for the rewarding and fun hobby, sport, or lifestyle that it really is. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.